Would it seem weird if I continue to speak in this manner for the next 8 to 10 minutes? Well, it definitely would. Yet, if I could somehow make this mask invisible, everything would be fine. If I could make this mask invisible, obviously you would not be able to see it, although I would be continuing to wear it all through my speech. My dear friends, we all are deft at putting on these masks. We have different masks for different occasions, for different people, for different circumstances. These masks give us a false sense of confidence. We are so very comfortable with these masks that not putting them on would actually seem weird. But there is a catch. We cannot put these masks on throughout our life. These masks get peeled off. And when they peel off, our true life, our true self lies exposed. Almost all the issues in our relationships, even all the mess in our life is because these masks slip off. But the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is not because these masks slip off. The problem is that we feel inadequate, incomplete without these masks. Back in my college days, I did not feel the need of these masks. I had flunked an exam in my college and my professor was miffed at me. He wanted to take me to task and in front of the entire class, he called me up. He called me up and started yelling at me. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Just look at Radhika. She has topped her exams. Radhika ko dekho, usne top kiya hai. And all that I could blurt out was, sir, देखने के चक्कर में ही तो fail हो गया. All that I did was washed and washed and washed until I was completely smitten by Radhika. I was counseled that Radhika needs to know about my feelings which were in my heart. I devised a fail-safe plan in order to impress her. I knew that I needed to be suave, I needed to be charming and intelligent. Well, I was handsome to impress Radhika. So, as I felt inadequate, I decided to pretend to have all these qualities. I decided to have my mask on. I proposed and she disposed. She dismissed me and refused. But I kept at it. I proposed her again and again till she became a part of my life. Radhika, my dear friends, now appears in almost all the passwords that I have created. But do not have any fancy ideas. I keep changing my passwords from time to time. Failure is not your biggest defeat. Your biggest defeat is when you stop trying. And my dear friends, I'll tell you, I've been very successful as far as my failures are concerned. I have had strings of them. But this particular misadventure really dented my confidence. My confidence was shattered. I had a speech impediment. I used to stammer. I was a covert stammerer throughout my life. And I allowed this particular incident to worsen my stammer. It went on to such a proportion that I could hardly say my name without struggling for minutes, sometimes even for hours. But life goes on, even for a person who stammers. Even when our life is down in the dumps, we somehow find a way to adjust to it. We find our comfort zone within that mess. And this is exactly what happened with me. I found all the ways to hide my stammer. I pretended to be a normal fluent speaker. I devised ways, I gesticulated, I yawned, I even made weird sounds in order to hide my stammer, in order to appear a normal fluent speaker. And my dear friends, this led to my downfall. But deep within my heart, I always believed that there would be a miracle. There would be something that would ultimately cure my stammer. And my stammer would ultimately vanish. It would evaporate. Marriage was one such charm which I thought would work for me. And yes, it did work all right with my wife. I had absolutely no problem in communicating with my wife, because my part of our communication was limited to me doing the listening all the time, and she was the one who was talking all the time. Well, I got the occasional nodding opportunity, and that too in the affirmative. One Sunday evening, as I was playing with my son, I had a phone call from my boss, and he connected me onto a conference call. Now, let me tell you that talking to anyone over telephone was my biggest nightmare. As I struggled, as I contorted and distorted my face in the effort to speak out the words, as I continued to hit my thighs with my fists in that desperate bid to blurt out whatever that I wanted to, I noticed that my son was watching me. My son was only 2.5 years old, yet he was receptive to all the pain, all the anguish, all the agony that I was going through at that point of time. He was silently watching me, tears flowing down his cheeks. I let go of my phone, bent down and hugged my son tight. As I hugged him, and as the two of us cried silently, I realized that my son need not go through the same pain, the same anguish, and the same agony. Miracles do happen if you believe in them. What followed from then on is almost fairy tale-ish. I became a part of a speech therapy program called the Maguire program. It was a 3-day workshop in Italy. 72 hours. Yes, only 72 hours it took me to peel off all the masks that had unconsciously become a part of me. The mask of being someone I wasn't. The mask of being or pretending to be a normal fluent speaker. The mask of trying to be someone who was normal at his speech. I had realized that to be or to excel at the sport of speaking, I had to accept myself as someone who was stammering, someone who was working on his speech, someone who was ready to go out there and face his fears. My dear friends, the miracle that I was waiting for to happen my entire life had finally happened. After those 72 hours when I walked out, I was a completely transformed person. I could speak whatever that I wanted to, in the manner that I wanted to, and to whomsoever that I wanted to. When I came back, I had a long conversation with my father for the first time in my life. My earlier conversation with my father was limited to monosyllables. During the course of that conversation, I realized that I had denied myself that simple pleasure of talking even to my own father. It is really very pathetic of someone who has a speech impediment. Do you know, guys, what is the single biggest source of joy, the single biggest source of fulfillment in one's life? It is to have the opportunity to change someone else's life, to have an impact into someone's life in a positive manner. Last January, I became a primary coach in the speech therapy program that I am a part of. I have 2 new students who idolize me, who look up to me, and they have a reason to believe that yes, their life is going to change for good. Their life is going to change for better. And this feeling is what I call success. I have come to believe that one cannot inspire someone else, that one cannot be a source of inspiration to someone else, because all that we seek outside lies within. We so desperately and feverishly look for that spark outside, oblivious to the fact that a great inferno rages within, waiting to be unleashed. My dear friends, as those masks have peeled off, as I have gotten rid of these masks, I have gained the single most important thing in life: courage.